Hello, I'm Yusuf Abramji and welcome to Crimewatch. We are coming to you from Johannesburg. Well, gang warfare has escalated dramatically on the Cape Flats, prompting police to set up a special anti-gang unit. We speak to a reformed gangster who gives us the inside story. We will also speak to the Western Cape MEC for Community Safety, Alan Windy, about what interventions are needed. But first, as always, real crime videos. We have seen an increase in communities taking matters into their own hands in the fight against crime. Watch what transpired during an attempted hijacking in Durban.
Watch here a bizarre course of events that unfolded after an attempted hijacking in Chatsworth, Durban. This silver car speeds down the road and comes to a sudden halt. Two men jump out. Watch the man coming out of the red car reacting quickly. He sees the threat and runs with the young child in his arms. The two men chase after him. He fights them off whilst still holding the young child in his arms. The hijackers run back to where the red car was parked. Now, pay attention to a resident that was alerted by events. He jumps over a boundary wall and proceeds to throw stones at the criminals. The driver of the red car, still carrying the young child, joins in on the stone throwing. Feeling overpowered, the robbers flee off, unsuccessful in their attempt.
Remember to always ensure your own safety before fighting back. Watch how easily these criminals gained access to seemingly secure premises.
How secure is your property at night? Watch how these criminals gained access to a property in Morningside, Durban. They first examine the security features. They then notice a bigger gap between the bars hidden behind a for sale sign. One of them proceeds to enter through the narrow gap. Unable to gain access via the bar as well, the second criminal walks off.
Yes, criminals will always find any small gap to get into your premises. Once again, we cannot stress enough the importance of being vigilant, especially when pulling into your driveway. Watch how this resident evaded an attempted hijacking.
Watch how this motorist evaded 4 hijackers by simply being vigilant. The red car drives down the road and is closely followed by a white SUV. The motorist pulls into the driveway of a residential complex. The motorist sees the armed men jump out and proceeds to slam his car through the security gate. Deterred by the quick-thinking motorist, the men proceed to flee the scene.
It's suspected that these guys were members of the notorious Rolex gang, and good news emerging earlier today. 2 members of the suspected Rolex gang were arrested in Sandton, Johannesburg last night. Let's hope that they keep them behind bars. Most gang-related murders are reported in the Western Cape. Well, about 808 cases were reported over a period of 12 months, and that's according to the official crime statistics. The Eastern Cape had 87 gang-related murders over a period of just a year. Many communities are under siege. The Cape Flats often resembles a war zone. Innocent people are caught up in the crossfire. Let's get the inside story from a former high-ranking 28th gang member. We're here in Old Eldorado Park in Gauteng. Today we keep to meet Welcome Witboy, a reformed gangster who was sentenced to 23 years behind bars for a variety of gang-related crimes. Welcome Witboy, you grew up on the Cape Flats.
Yes.
At the age of 12, you got involved in the gangs. Tell us about it.
I think I got involved in the gangs at the age of 12 because I was in a vulnerable position, not knowing who I was. And that's the only reason why I got involved in the gangs.
So how do you get identified as a gang member?
Well, the minute you get your stripes and you are now part of the clique or you're part of the crew, you get your tattoos. I got my first star when I was 18. You'll see everywhere I've got my tattoos. This is my first star, which I got as a part of the gang. It was BS, Basitana Strafivus, and that's the gang that I was part of. And once I had that star, wherever I walked in various communities, people would identify me with that star and say that that's the gang he belongs to. So therefore, don't mess with that guy.
Tell us about your reign of terror over what period of 5, 6 years?
From the part where I joined the gangs, I started becoming a hardened killer, a person that hurts people, stabbing somebody easily, and just taking from them what I wanted and not caring about how they felt. I mean, also the community recognizes you and they fear you. And that was the penultimate of wanting to become part of the gangs, is wanting to be recognized.
At the age of 17, you were arrested.
At the age of 17, I was arrested and I was sentenced to 23 years.
Arrested for on what charges?
Kidnapping, armed robbery, assault, extortion. Those are the charges, and I was sentenced to 23 years, and yeah.
All part of the gang activities?
All part of the gang activities. I had to then join the numbers gang. And in prison, I became a 28 gang member. And while I was there, I became a high-ranking 28 gang member. And my reign of terror continued, because now I had 2,500 men under my control.
In prisons, we also know the gangsters very often would order inmates to go and rape other inmates. A very, very big problem indeed.
Raping a man takes away his power. It breaks him. And gangs are all about power. It's all about dominance. It's all about being in charge of you as an individual instead of you being in charge of yourself. And it is a big problem. Hence I'm saying it's like a guy going to prison for housebreaking, and while he's in prison being used as a sex object. This guy goes into prison 6 months, he's used as a sex object, he comes out of prison. Imagine the repercussions of what had happened to him in prison. Now he becomes a sex offender because the vulnerable child or boy becomes victim because of his victimhood in prison. So it's just a constant circle of violence that is perpetuated because of a system that is failing.
After the break, we hear more from Welcome Witbooi on how the Cape gangs have begun infiltrating and making their way into other provinces. Don't go away.